Mentioned earlier, we've gotten a lot of your feedback on that SMS line 22422, hashtag Newsnight. I want to look at a few of the tweets, one or two SMSs, get some responses from the governors, and then we can call it a night. Cindy, you say that the president made it clear in one of his interviews that counties get enough money to develop their counties. He said it's a pity to see that some counties are still not developed. In my opinion, governors will still ask for more money no matter the amount they are given. Okay. That's from Cindy. Sophie Simon says, I believe politicians are not committed to a revolution. Just like the national government, county government should look for ways to generate income to sustain the counties. Let them stop crying foul and prove their capabilities. Otherwise, devolution makes no sense to me. That's from Sophie. Shege Fresh, you say, I've listened to the two governors. Unfortunately, they seem to be blaming someone out of this planet. The problem falls at the doorstep of His Excellency. Let them address the head of state. Okay, Jay Nyamogo says, kindly ask the governors, don't they think disbursements of funds to the counties should be advised by delivery of services? Should Treasury work closely with the EACC to ensure that that only incorruptible governors receive funds? And Jay Nyamogo as well, you say the very energies that the COG applies to push for funding to the counties must be applied in fighting and ending corruption, which eats into the county development agenda. And Mohammed Dida, you say the second generation Council of Governors is the weakest link in devolution. COG has lost aggressiveness, assertiveness, the fiery nature of pre-2017 Council, so much so that it cannot force the national government to prioritize devolution matters. And that's where I want to start. Governor Oparanya, immediate former chair Council of Governors, there are some viewers who feel that the fire and aggressive nature of the COG that we saw between 2013 to 2017 is no longer there. And thus, maybe the national government, that could be the reason why they are not prioritizing devolution matters. How do you respond to that?
You know very well that we have to operate within the legislative framework that is there. You cannot call the other side in the ring and start fighting in the ring and see who kicks the other more.
Some say that might be the only way you might get your money.
So we have been trying to follow the legislation that is there. And I've told you clearly that Article 219 clearly said that money should go to the counties on a timely basis. That has been actualized by the Public Finance Management Act. As a council, we have been in courts. Courts have resolved or have ordered that money should go to the counties by 15th. And this is not happening. Maura, what can we do next? Because this actually, the national government does not respect rule of law. And that's why I said that the next move that we should do at the Council of Governors is to have the CS in charge of Treasury. Yes, and you mentioned, maybe committed.
You mentioned that
to jail
already. You mentioned
because
that
already. We cannot call whoever. We start fighting. We have done what we could.
So are you moving to court? Are you going to move to court tomorrow?
Because these press conferences even do not help.
So are you going to move to court to actualize what you are saying? You know, it's one thing to say it on TV, it's another
Obviously, thing. we have resolved that we are going to close the counties, and at the same time we have to move to court, so that the national government must respect the rule of law.
Governor Nyoro, moving forward and in future sort of regimes, if national governments and county governments don't see eye to eye, the issue of county governments raising their own revenue, no longer dependent on national governments. How near or far are we from that in your experience now as a governor?
Well, I think that's a great solution, I can tell you that. There's huge potential for raising our own source revenue, but I can tell you, and I'll give you an example. When COVID broke, all the water utility companies, we passed a resolution as the Council of Governors and said we are not going to charge water. As we talk today, some of our water companies are hugely indebted because, you know, the people you are charging own source revenue are the same poor people that you are talking about. So yes, in a county like Kiambu, we have huge potential for raising own source revenue. But on a year like this one, where I can tell you 9 out of 12 months bars have been closed, how do you go to bars and charge a license fee so that you raise your own source revenue? Yes, so we have to have disbursements. Even national government do not source its own. Ministry of Agriculture do not source its own source revenue. It still depends on disbursement from the national government. It is an obligation of the national government to continue supporting the devolution and counties, but it's also, the onus is also on counties to come up with ways and means of raising punitive own source revenue so that you don't depend entirely on the national government. But that is a tall order. I think the economy must grow because people cannot pay what they don't have. So the two must work hand in hand.
Are we still, what, 5-10 years away from that? What would you estimate?
Well, it all depends on where our economy will be going. I think many counties, and including my own county, we have put in mechanisms. We have seen instances where we've doubled the amount of own source revenue that we collect. We have sealed loopholes because there is also a lot of corruption. If you're talking about parking lot, if you are talking about quarries, if you are talking about slaughterhouses, there are a lot of loopholes. We are putting in cashless systems of payment. Like if you go to our hospitals today, you don't pay cash. Okay. You have a pay bill that you are supposed to pay. So there are mechanisms and systems that you put in place. But this take time to materialize. Like I said, the whole economy must grow so that own source revenue grows with the economy.
Gentlemen, we're going to have to rest this discussion now, but before we wrap it up, I have one last question for you. Some had secretly hoped that the model of devolution would allow Kenyans to see presidential candidates beyond the usual names. And so many began looking at county governors as possible presidents in the future, depending on how they perform. But as the 2022 election looms, and you look at the front pages of different newspapers, you rarely see a governor on the front page as a potential presidential candidate. Dr. Paranya, let me start with you on this one because you've been on that seat for quite some time now. You're finishing your second term. Is it that counties have not impressed Kenyans enough for them to recommend that Governor Paranya or Governor so-and-so should then ascend to the highest seat in the land?
I think that is a media perception. Because you know very well that I declared I'm going to run for presidency on ODM ticket. I have already forwarded my application to the party headquarters. I'm awaiting for the reply. But since the media has confined itself to the same names, we have nothing to do, but we will pursue on.
Okay, so it's, and Nyoro, I want to hear your take on this one.
So I don't know why you think that the names that you are hearing will probably be the president in 2022. I don't know why you think that way.
Do you know something that I don't know?
No. History has shown us that sometimes we don't know who will be president in this country until 3 months to the election. I mean, you can look at the last 2 presidents. So I think it's a bit too early. We have 1 year, 4 months. We have some governors. I don't know why you are belittling them. We have some governors who have offered themselves to be presidents. I'm very far, I'm serving my quarter term, not even half term, my quarter term. But, I mean, to be honest, there are some governors who have offered themselves. And I think the names that you are seeing today may not necessarily be the names that you see March or April of 2022. It is a bit too early.
You seem to know something I don't. I said last question, but you've piqued my curiosity. Where will Jubilee be, Governor Nyoro, in 2022?
Sorry?
Your party, where will Jubilee Party be in 2022? Your party
Jubilee Party will be there in 2022. I don't know why you think Jubilee Party will not be there.
Ooh.
I think the kind of things that are, we've said this time and time again, Waihiga, that if you have a house and there is a rat in the house, you don't burn the house. You chase the rat out. And you remain with the house. Jubilee will be there in 2022 and beyond. It requires a bit of rats being sent out and remodeling and all of that, like most parties. But I can tell you that Jubilee will be there in 2022 and beyond.
Oh, I wonder who the rats are that you're referring to. That's not a...
No, that's just an example that I've given, that if your shirt gets dirty, you don't throw it away, you wash it.
Okay. Dr. Oparanya, and for you, ODM, NASA, we're hearing a lot of chat around that. Is that still something on the cards?
At the moment, as a party, we want to strengthen our own party. Mm-hmm. We have not talked about NASA. That's what I'm reading in the newspaper and in the media. But at the moment, our interest is to strengthen our party, and we will be looking for an alliance that we can come together to form the next government.
So it's possible that you and Dr. Nyoro could be on the same side next year?
We could also be presidential candidates.
Possibly.
Or even presidential candidates.
Yeah.
Okay. We are going to...
Definitely.
Okay, definitely from Oparanya. Nyoro says he's still finishing his quarter term before he does his first term, then he figure out what next. Gentlemen, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. We have had Chairman Emeritus of the Council of Governors, Dr. Wycliffe Oparanya, joining us from Kakamega County. And here in studio, Nairobi County, next to Kiambu, the governor there, Dr. James Nyoro, who's also the chair of the Agriculture Committee and serving his quarter term. That's the first time I've had that term. I won't forget it anytime soon. Thank you for your time, and we will be monitoring the state of the counties into next week. Will they keep that promise to shut down, to talk tough to the national government to get the money before the financial year closes, or will it be business as usual? We'll have to wait and see. And so that brings us to the end of Newsnight this 15th day of June 2021. On behalf of the whole team that's made this broadcast possible, as always, we're very grateful that you tune in and that you give us some of your time. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been Joki Shege. Our SMS line 22422, #Newsnight. Let's keep engaging on those platforms. But for now, whichever part of the country you're watching us from, have a good night, stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.